So if you're struggling to believe that it's possible for you to change your weight for the long term because nothing's worked in the past, then you're in luck. So this week I'm sharing the before and after stories of two food lovers who were able to get the scale to go down in a slow and sustainable way, even though they'd been struggling with weight most of their adult life. So enjoy. So, welcome to Joyful Eating, episode 185. So, today I'm talking about sharing the story of how two food lovers overcame their lifelong struggles with weight. But before we get to that, the best bite I had. It was Fergal's birthday, and for his so we did a cake for his actual family, like his actual birthday, but then we also did a party for him on another day. And so I made this spiced apple cake with brown butter cream cheese frosting. So I've got this book on baking called First Cream the Butter and Sugar by Amelia Jackson, who's an Australian um, pastry chef. And it's like this cake was like the business. Like carrot cake is one of my favorite cakes. Like I love that cinnamony ginger kind of flavor. And so this was like one of those cakes that was cooked with so when you and using some oil in it instead of butter. So like a carrot cake, but it was using canned apples instead of carrot. And then but it had like the cinnamon, it had ginger, it had cardamom, like all the good spices. And then so the cake itself was like so moist, so good, and using brown sugar as well. So like I love that flavor. And then the frosting was out of this world good. Like so if you're a cream cheese, like if you love cream cheese frosting, like the classic frosting that goes with carrot cake, this was totally taking it to the next levels because it was using a combo of cream cheese, but then also some brown butter. So like when you cook butter in yeah, until it goes all nutty and caramelized, and then so you cooled that and then mixed it in with the cream cheese to make a frosting, and it was like had that cream cheesy goodness, but it also had this extra dimension to it. It was just so good. I was like, oh, this cake is amazing. I think that's going to be my new favorite. I'm going to save this. I'm going to make that cake for myself for my birthday this year. So that was my best bite this week. Okay, so I digress talking about cake. So plan for today is I'll just share the story behind this episode, and then I'm going to share the before and after stories of two different food lovers who I've worked with in the Naturally Healthy Club. And then I have a fun game for you and an invitation to finish up at the end. So basically, the story behind this is that I've worked with so many people, and like some of them either like don't want to record a podcast episode talking about all their struggles with food. Can't think why not. um, or yeah, their work environment means that it's not really appropriate for them to be doing podcasts on personal stuff, which of course, um, and I just had this idea of like, oh, actually, I could share some stories. You don't need to know who it is, and I don't need to interview you, but it's still helpful to hear stories before and after stories of how people have struggled, and then how where they've got to after making some changes. Because I think whenever we're wanting to make any changes in our lives, the more evidence that we have that other people can change and other people can solve this problem that we have, just the more it just builds that evidence for ourselves that, oh, actually, and opens our minds to, yeah, maybe I can change too. Like change could be possible for me too. So I think, whenever I'm looking to make a change, I love to immerse myself in as many stories as possible of people who've done what I want to do. First of all, to get a little bit of glimpse of the how, but just to really open me up to the possibility. So I thought, let's do that this week. So I've got two food lovers, an anonymous food lover, mystery food lovers, that we're going to share the before and after so first, food lover number one, before we started working together, she was always either in like classic dieter. So she's either in that restriction of I'm hungry all the time, I'm not allowed to eat whatever, or she would be like, if she wasn't on a diet, then she'd be in that I'm just going to eat, I'm eating whatever, whenever. And one thing that when she came to me, that she like she'd been restricted for such a long time that she just found herself like even like just being constantly hungry, like she would never felt satisfied. So even she would have a meal and then half an hour later feel hungry again, even when she'd eaten like, a fairly decent amount of food. And then the other thing she was struggling with, like she was having sugar cravings, like, of course. And then, she found herself, because she was having the cravings, eating like she wasn't hungry, but she was eating anyway. And she had tried Weight Watchers and other diets. uh, and while sometimes she would lose the weight, like it always came back on because she was in that constant state of hunger. And to get to the place where the weight was going down, she was feeling hunger on a regular basis. And then another thing, like, was before she started working with, that she had been someone who'd loved to cook, especially with her children, but she felt that like her relationship with food had devolved, in her words, like so much that um she was always feeling guilty about what she was eating. And so like internally she was like having all this struggle, but then she would put on this like brave face to the children of like, oh yes, no, I only eat healthy stuff, and occasionally we might bake something together, but I've got this all figured out, when the actual truth was like it was like a massive struggle. And yeah, she's just was in that constant thing of like always feeling guilty about food, and like, and also like just stuck in this like, well, I either have to be like, I'm either hungry and restricting, or I'm not feeling good in my body, and just feeling like there wasn't an alternative. um so that was before we starting work together. So you can imagine, like, it's not a fun place to be, hey. And so then after uh, the after is that, first of all, the first thing we did was I got her to work on like actually building evidence and giving herself that permission to eat until she felt satisfied at meals, and so that she could build the evidence of getting rid of that story of that I need to restrict to lose weight, I need to be hungry to lose weight. And actually we started at very first about building that trust with herself and building that evidence that actually she could eat until she felt satisfied. So listen to her body, feel that feeling of satisfaction, so she wasn't hungry, and then lose weight. But it took a while, and it's interesting, like particularly I noticed this in people that have been dieting for long periods of time, is it can take a while for that psychological hunger that's there, like that restrictive that restriction causes. It can take a while for that to go, and that was certainly true for this person that I worked with. It probably took a good 5 or 6 months before she actually could see that, before the hungers, like, so even though she would be eating until she was satisfied at mealtimes, the hunger kept coming. She would feel that hunger, and so it took a long time for to just like kind of heal that psychological hunger and get her body back to building that trust with herself, that actually no, she wasn't going to start doing some crazy restriction again. And like but slowly over that time, she was able to build that evidence that she could eat until she was satisfied, she wasn't going to be hungry afterwards, and that the weight would start to shift. um, so that was like the biggest change, is just like turning off that that thing of being hungry all the time, and also reprogramming her belief that she had to be hungry in order to lose weight, and actually building the evidence for the contrary. Um, so that was so huge, and so great for her to actually get to that place of feeling free and not feeling like, oh, I'm hungry all the time. And so now she can go between meals without feeling intensely hungry or thinking about food all the time or obsessing about food all the time. And the other cool thing for her is like, now she has that she actually believes that she can influence the number on the scale. Like, it's not just something that happens to her. She has agency over that, and that by listening to her body and just and eating the amount that like lets her body feel satisfied, that so she and her brain like it as well feels satisfied, but not going into overeating territory all the time, then like the scale can actually move down. And then another beautiful part about the like her after story is that now she's started baking with her kids again, because she can trust herself around sugar, like to because she lets herself have whatever it is, but in a balanced way, so that she actually feels comfortable baking and enjoying that process of baking. And also she's got that feeling of like of congruence now, where she's not feeling like a fraud in front of her children, where she's like, oh, I'm so messed up about food. She's like, no, this is what we do. We like, yeah, we bake and we have treats, but we also, you know, we're eating them in balance, and it feels so good for her to do that. And she's on her way. She's not at her goal weight yet, but she's got that. Yeah, she's tracking. And I think the other cool thing for her is like she's just got that belief that she will get there, and she's not in a huge rush to lose all the weight quickly, because she knows that she will get there eventually, and that when she does, like, this is the last time that she's not going to be like yo-yoing back and then having to lose it again. Like, because what she's doing feels good, and so she's not going to stop doing what she's doing now, to get to that goal. So um yeah, so that was food lover number one, which I like. Just when she was sharing about how like she'd got back into baking again, I was like, yeah, me too. It's so fun, isn't it? So yeah, that was really cool. And then food lover number let's look at number food lover number two. So yeah, like her story is really fun as well. So before we started working together, she had been someone who, she said, like, she had been the biggest food lover all her life. Like she said, like, even from when she was really little, like she just really loved food, and she would like hum when she was eating, like just like really enjoying her food. And like her family had always commented on it, how much, she loved food, and how she would make this really cute noise um, when she was eating. But of course, over the years, she'd found herself like getting into that like overeating, and then like and getting into that cycle of like craving sweet food, like particularly in the afternoon, and also like being worried about like what should I be eating, like listening to the messages from popular culture and nutritionists around this whole good food, bad food paradigm, and then being like, well, what should I be eating? Like, I don't know what, like, and feeling that confusion. And just noticing the trend that she was, yeah, every year she was putting on those like, to be 2 kilos, that's 4 pounds. Like every year it would just be going up and up and up. And like, and she was like, had that fear of like, okay, where is this heading? Like, where am I going to get to? But then not wanting to do anything about it, because she didn't want to feel like she was missing out, because food was such a big part of her life as well. And so like there was that real fear there. So where did this mystery food lover get to? So yeah, now that she has learned this, so she has that skill of like listening to her body, so that she's yeah, and feeling like she's got that balance. So obviously the gain has stopped, and it's headed back down in the right direction. But the thing that I really brought joy to my heart was that she was like, Jules, like, I'm enjoying food way more than ever before. She's like, it's like so cool. She's like, I've got this like best of both worlds, where my weight isn't a problem because I'm eating, like, I'm listening to my body, I'm eating the right quantity, but I'm slowing down. I'm prioritizing, like giving myself a proper lunch break so that I get to enjoy the food. And she's like, there's nothing's off limits. Like, I'm enjoying like food way more than ever before. She was like, it's the best. um, and she's like not afraid. She's like, I'm not wasting all that mental bandwidth on like being worried about what should I be eating this? Should I not be eating it? Like, she's got that rhythm. And the other thing that she's noticed is, yeah, because she's eating um until she feels satisfied at lunchtime, then she's not getting those like, sugar cravings in the afternoon anymore, because she's eating enough to feel satisfied, which means she can last through to dinner, and she's not in that like, yeah, like looking for snacks in the afternoon, and then not enjoying her dinner because she wasn't really super hungry when it got to dinner time. Um, and yeah, so like all those things of course are amazing, but another like cool side benefit for her, apart from like enjoying food more and feeling better in her body, was just she noticed how like she feels so much more confident, and that just like the ability to feel that sense of control around food has translated into other areas of her life as well. And she actually applied for and got a new job. And she was like, there's no way, she was like, before I like did this work around my relationship with food, she's like, there's no way I would have had the confidence to even try to apply for that job. But she was like, because I was feeling good about food, feeling good in my body. And she's like, I'm just, and the tools that that we learn when I teach people how to coach themselves, she was like, yeah, she applied that to the job, and so she ended up applying for it, getting it, and now she's like making more money. She's got like a she doesn't have a big commute anymore, and she's like feeling more fulfilled in her career as well. So, and just feeling that optimism for the future of like, oh, okay, well, I've done this. I've got my food under control. I've just got my dream job. Like, what else is possible? So feeling that sense of like optimism as she's aging, and no longer being worried about, oh, probably going to gain another 2 kilos this year. Like being having that good feeling of being in control. So yes, I like so fun to think about like where we can get to, I think, like what's possible when you learn this skill of listening to our bodies. It's so transformative. And because food, it's not just about, our physical bodies. It like it impacts so many other areas of our life as well. So yes, so fun to share these stories. So yeah, I promised you a fun game, and so I just thought like let's go on a little journey together. Like, and so I want you to imagine that you're like my two food lovers. So the after part of them. So you already know your before story, but like imagine what it would be like in 6 months' time. Like actually having the evidence that you have agency over the number that this on the scale, like actually feeling that sense of control of like food isn't something that controls me. Like I am in control of what I eat and how much I eat, and feeling that sense of, yeah, my weight isn't something that's happening to me. My weight is something that I can choose. I have agency over this. Um, and just think about the consequence of if you had that ability to listen to your body and you had that sense of control, like how different would your life, like what would be the consequence of that in your life? Like having gone through that change and having that confidence, then like what would you be noticing in your life? Like what would be different? Like would you be willing to go for a new job? Like is there something else in your life? Like, maybe, would you be feeling better about your parenting because you're being a better role model for your children because you've got this food thing sorted out? Like, yeah, would there be a career change? Like what else could be impacted? Would it have an impact on your other relationships? Yeah, maybe you'd be enjoying baking again and having fun. um, maybe you'd be feeling different when you looked in your wardrobe, like when you're getting dressed in the morning, like it's not going to be this torturous experience of like, oh, what am I going to squeeze into? Like actually um feeling that sense of possibility and actually enjoying getting clothes, like playing with clothes and getting dressed again, instead of it being like this like demoralizing experience. Or maybe you'd be, yeah, like thinking like more confident. So you'd be thinking about making other like changes in other areas of your life that that aren't that you could see as opportunities, and you'd be feeling that sense of optimism for the future. So just, yeah, just take a second now to like whatever you're at, just imagine like imagine that you had that, like that was your reality, that you had this great relationship with food and it was opening up all these other possibilities in your life. And that feeling of like, oh, looking forward to the future. Like so yeah, I thought that would be fun to do. So yeah, just you can play around with it. If you want to journal on it, you can grab out if you're a journaler, grab out your notebook and write about like who do I want to become? Like what could be possible for me? And if you're curious about whether you could be experiencing changes like my two mystery people, my mystery two food lovers, then the best way to find out whether this would be a good fit for you is to join me for my free live information session, or live on Zoom information session that I'm having about the Naturally Healthy Club. So in those live sessions, I'm actually running a few different times. You'll discover like the 7 sneaky mistakes that block food lovers from losing weight sustainably, and my counterintuitive approach that stops these mistakes keeping you stuck. You'll learn the 2 essential skills for a naturally healthy and enjoyable relationship with food so that you reach and stay at your natural weight without restricting or being constantly hungry, like one of my food lovers, and enjoying food more than all, even more. And I'll also share with you like the one little thing that's holding you back from changing and the simplest way to overcome it. So you actually be like my second food lover and get more enjoyment from food. I never feel like you're missing out. And then I'll also share with you like how the coaching works and like what the exact simple, doable process we follow so that you get to this place where you feel in control of your weight and you stop searching for the answer and worrying about getting it wrong. So to get more details about the information session, you just need to go to smp.to/NHC. So SM for Mary P.to/NHC. So SMP stands for Simple Meal Plans and NHC stands for Naturally Healthy Club. Or you can just check out the link in the show notes. That'll make it easier. Okay, have a fantastic week. Have fun playing around with that idea, that little exercise that I gave you. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you in one of the information sessions. Okay, talk soon.